Hey, I was just talking about y'all. Welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and it looks like you have some time to hear about some amazing comics. This is my review on new comics that were released 7/21/2021. This is the last of it, guys, part 3. I have one more comic to read, and it's Mom, the Amelia Clark book, and the only reason why is just a thicker book. But so I have 5 books that I'm going to review real quickly. Let's get to it. So first up from Boom Studios, we have Proctor Valley Road. This is number 5. It is also the end of the main arc. And as far as it was first stated, the end of the story, but it's not. It looks like they're going to continue it, and we'll get there. It's written by Alex Child and Grant Morrison. I mean, everybody knows Grant Morrison. It's illustrated by Naomi Franquist. I hope I said that right. But the base of the story is just some girls back in like this, maybe late 60s, early 70s are trying to make it to a Janis Joplin concert. They are teenagers, these girls that are on the cover. They don't have jobs per se because they're teenagers, maybe 12, 13, something like that. And so they come up with this idea to kind of basically do their own, horror theme park where they live. Thus, Proctor Valley Road is born. And they find out that when they're building their theme park that it is already haunted by something, and that's what the whole rest of the story is, the setup of the story. 2 young boys are like, one is killed, I think he's killed in the beginning of the story, and 2 end up getting kidnapped by this entity that is already in Proctor Valley Road. But we are following all 4 girls, and they're kind of coming to terms with everything. The school's been against them, because they're a part of, the whole thing with the boys missing. The cops are after them. All their friends are against them. Eventually, they kind of tag team, and I'm drawing a blank at the entity's name. It's like a ghost, and I think she's called a landlady, like an evil spirit type of thing. But they kind of get to the point where it's like these girls tag team up. I mean, they're already like a group or a gang of girls, and they're getting all their weapons and they're getting ready. See this girl, I think she's over here. She's getting a grenade, and there's some hardcore teenagers, but they do set out to Proctor Valley Road, and they kind of figure out where this lady is. She's at the bottom of this lake. They all go down there, and on the way there, they do end up running to some snags, like the ghost is trying to stop them. Right off the bat, one of the girls, she stays behind. She's kind of like really scared in the whole situation. She's been kind of like the Daphne of the group. And my boy Sid Lordley, he kind of summed it up. It's like a Scooby-Doo type of story. It wasn't one of the best reads I've read recently, but it was a fun, altogether story. But this little girl that stays behind, even though she was scared, she does end up take out these like 2 hyena ghost things and this little boy. She beats the crap out of him. I think she kills the 2 hyenas with a car, and she just beats the little kid ghost with a belt. We do end up seeing like the landlady, and where she is down in this cavern under this lake, and they go to confront her. There is like a big battle that ensues everything, and it's really like and they do have a gun. One of the girls, I think her friend has a gun, and like I showed you the hand grenade and stuff like that. It's not what they use to defeat her. It's more like girl power magic kind of thing, because they show you like right here. Like they'll show you right here with the bubble and everything, and they were like protecting themselves against her curses and stuff. But basically, she ends up getting defeated. The 2 boys are found. It's an all over happy ending. And that's basically the end of the main setup without going into too many spoilers. Yes, I spoil the shit out of everything, but it is a review. Now, I don't go into full detail. This is a like, I want to say a 20-minute read, and I just summed it up in like 4 minutes, and that wasn't just this comic, like the whole series. But that's kind of what reviews are, I'm giving you a little bit of the taste of the art and the story and the setup where it's going to go, because at the end of it, yes, these first 5 were kind of like a Scooby-Doo and maybe like a young adventure type of thing. But where it's leading to, it looks like they're setting up like a female like Ghostbuster, like their own thing, and not to copy Ghostbusters or anything. It just has a different feel, and But that I'm really on board for, and it seems like it's going to be a little more grown-up theme, so it could be very interesting. Next up, from Marvel, this is Extreme Carnage Phage #1. This is part 3 in the ongoing Extreme Carnage series, where Carnage is trying to bring back all the symbiotes to the fold. And in this issue, he's doing that with Phage, and we find out that Phage is basically with this hunter guy, and you know, the way it's read and everything, it's almost set up like Kraven the Hunter and everything. It almost sounds like his whole story. And then we find out at home, you know, the message with the senator comes on, and we know Crane, you know, we know that Cletus Cassidy is hidden inside this message, you know, that is Senator Crane, because he is currently, like, I think, posing as Senator Crane. But he's sending out this symbiotic message that only symbiotes can hear. And Phage right here is hidden within this dog, and he all of a sudden like activates, and it is a call to come back home. So instantly, I mean, they show here, you know, Phage kills his master and everything, takes his shape and everything, and then moves on. And then next up, we catch up with Andrea Benton, or Andy Benton, I think it is, and she was Scream currently. She was the host that was connected with Scream in the last issue. She was separated from Scream, and we have found out that she literally killed that version of Scream off. Now there still exist particles of Scream, and she knows that she's still out there, but currently she is being like captured, and she's, you know, put in this facility, and by this like thinker guy, this scientist, and he kind of tells her, hey, there's nothing against you or anything, or, you know, he's like, but we have to do this. I got to get rid of the symbiote that's in you, and they kind of show it, you know, in her panels, and it's like burning out of her, whatever this procedure is. We do catch up with Flash, because yes, Flash is resurrected, and he does have some of his symbiote. I don't think he's at like 100% power right now, but he finds out that, you know, that Scream is in this facility, so he's, or Andy, and he's on his way to try and help her out. At the same time, we have found out that Phage is already in the facility, and he has already tracked down Andy Benton, and the way Carnage and Phage has tricked him into believing that that Andy Benton is basically a traitor. You know, she killed Scream, you know, her host killed the symbiote that was within her, so they see it as an act of betrayal, and they're out to kill her. At the same time that Phage is activated and he's trying to kill her, you know, we get, you know, Anti-Venom, and he shows up and he's trying to protect her. We know at this point that he is not 100% power, and Phage can like somehow detect that. There is a battle that ensues, and Andy Benton really, even though she's not at full power either, Phage knows it's that, well, I mean, Phage knows he can take out both of them pretty much, and he states it like a couple times. But we see that, you know, that Andy is not done, that she can use her Hellfire and still fights back. Anti-Venom really kind of does most of the fighting back, but eventually at the very end, we see that Phage does kind of, I'm not going to, you know, but maybe kind of takes Andy, or so Andy's kind of, we don't know what's left of Andy at the end of it, but yeah, so far it was a good read. I kind of like Scream a lot more than Phage. It was a different artist, different writer, but the art was really good, the story was really good. I just felt like the story from Scream was a lot better than this one. But nothing against either comic, they were both good reads. Honestly, better, in my opinion, they're better than Sinister War right now. Man, I wanted to do a review all by itself of this comic. This is one of my #1 picks of this week. I'm a big Black Caravan fan, but still, I mean, I still hold everything up, you know, to the same code, but this is Gods of Brutality, and I knew a little bit about this, honestly, in Black Caravan's title. They are a horror imprint from Scout Comics, and I'm more into their horror stuff. So when I heard they were coming out with this, I was like, yeah, I might pass on that. But I went ahead and picked it up, and man, it was such a good and fun read. Right off the bat, what it is about this band, and it's the Gods of Brutality, but really it's about this lead singer who is a rock god in our world, like regular, you know, and he you know, kind of like an Alice Cooper or Ozzy Osbourne type of guy. And I think his band's name is the MS Bats, or the MF Bats, something like that. But they do go into some of his backstory, like, oh, this guy died and how he died, and there's like a whole real article, which was really fun, and it was really nice to read because it catches you up right there. But right after that, they kind of go into, you know, him, and he's and I'm drawing a blank at his name, but they're at a concert, they're performing, they they perform their final song. Hint: it's titled "Acid Cock." But they go to the next page. They finish the show, standing ovation, all that goodness. I mean, they are a big, famous band at the time. And then this guy, a magazine interviewer, wants to do an interview, and basically that's the setup of the whole story. There is a backstory on how he became famous and how the band became famous. And there's this story about how supposedly early on he had died. He was trying to cross some train tracks, didn't make it. The train ended up rolling over him and killing him, and he ended up in hell. Made some kind of deal and somehow came back as this rock god. So the writer is kind of like, come on, man, that's not really what happened. If you're gonna retire and this is it, lay the truth on me. And he's like, bro, that's the truth, but guess what? I left a lot out, so let me lay it down for you. And that's basically the setup of the whole rest of the comic, is this guy telling him this true story, with all the facts and all the craziness that supposedly goes into the story. And it sets up right off the bat. He's like, yes, I did die, and guess what? I wasn't alone. I was with Thor and the mighty Hercules, and we were the gods of brutality, and they escaped hell. But that's kind of like in the middle of the story. And I will like to add that one of the, they show all kind of demons and stuff, but right up here we got like evil Girl Scouts flying, like they're trying to, sell Girl Scouts cookies, but they got spears and knives, and I like that. I dig that. They go down here and they start kind of like back at the beginning when he died, and he's in this, like, they call it the Meat Cafe, and he tells a story about how hell has all these different rooms, and it's not set up like the way you think it is, but somehow he ends up in this room called the Meat Cafe, and basically it's like demons come in there, and it's dinner time. Everybody's on the menu. This book is it's graphic. I wouldn't say it's super graphic. It's bloody. But basically, in this room, they get eaten and eaten and eaten over and over again, and they just keep resurrecting. The demons come in, they eat them, and they got a break, and they resurrect, and then they get eaten again. Sounds fun. So basically at the same time, he makes this plea to like every god that he can think of, and he calls out like Odin and Zeus, and I mean he starts calling out Starbucks and Amazon and any major god that he can think of, corporate god, whatever. And somehow over on this page we see that Zeus and Odin are hanging out, and they're kind of letting their sons have some fun, and Zeus, and he calls him his bastard son Hercules. And then Odin's, with Thor, his son, and they're both kind of unhappy with their sons. They believe they're the next in line to take their place, and they're kind of upset because both of them are like toddlers, and they bicker and fight all the time. And sure enough, they do show Thor, and they work well with others, but the second one of them starts to take credit, they just start bickering and fighting, and everything stops, and the gods are like, man, this is not, we're just going to have to make new children. And then all of a sudden, like, Mercury shows up, or Hermes, or I forget which one, but one of the messengers of the god shows up, and he's like, hey, this guy's like begging for your help in hell. He says that he will sing songs of you, and millions will hear it. He's already famous. And Odin and Zeus are like, man, songs haven't been sung about us in ages, I dig that. And so they take up his request, and they send Hercules and Thor into hell with a mission. And basically, Thor and Hercules, they have to save this guy, and they also have to, in doing this, they have to keep him alive, and they have to, if they do this, they can work together and yada yada yada, play nice with each other. They can get their lives back, but if not, all three of them are stuck in hell forever. So it's kind of like their setup and their reason why Hercules and Thor are kind of helping out. They do show right here that he's still going through the situation in the Meat Cafe, and this guy, this demon has targeted him, for lunch. And I will say that this was the first comic book that actually had me like bust out laughing, was this page right here. It was this demon, and he keeps making this this notation that he looks like a girl, and he's like, bro, I'm not a girl, I just got long hair. We do see that the gods of brutality show up, Hercules and Thor. They portal right in, and they do beat the living crap out of a bunch of the demons. And this is where the funny stuff really goes on, because there's a lot of dick references and ball references. but they come from the demons, and Hercules and Thor keeps hearing this, and they're like, bro, I understand we're in hell, but what's with these dudes? Are they all like, I mean, they all like dicks and scrotum, you know, none of them like the veg, or, you know, and it's kind of like this whole, like, I mean, it was great. I literally had to put the comic down. I was laughing so hard, so kudos to the writer. I have never laughed so hard in a comic before. But they do end up saving the day, and they free this guy, and basically, you know, that's the end of the first mission. At the end of this, we do see some Odin and you know, Zeus here at the bottom, and they're kind of morphing in. They're being like, hey, you got to follow these, and you got to do this to you know, stay, you know, to get out of hell. If not, you're damned forever, you know, kind of thing. And Hercules and you know, Thor, they're like, we got this, bro. And basically, that's going to be the rest of the story is their continuing journey on how they got out of hell. I will say there's some neat things that are coming up. They show some of the covers, and they show like were ants, and they show like witches and cosmic space entities that are coming in the journey, continuing. I would like to put this out. This was a book that is going to release this one. This is one of the ones that I'm hyped up on. We Don't Kill Spiders. And another one that's coming soon is this guy over here, Uncle Knuckle, Count Draco Knuckle Buster. I'm looking forward to those comics, so if y'all see them this week, they are coming out. Next up, Marvel #1. This is Moon Knight. This was a really great read and an easy picking up point for anybody that doesn't know anything about Moon Knight. If y'all don't know, he's already coming. You know, Oscar Isaac is going to play him. But Moon Knight, in a nutshell, is basically a hero that has split personalities, so there's many different hymns in him. And basically this one is set up where it's just Mr. Knight is one of his, it's kind of like his business persona, and then we have just Moon Knight. And they show that basically it's Mr. Knight, and well, Moon Knight, and he's setting up the church of, and I'm drawing a blank at the religious part of him, because he actually gets his powers from an Egyptian god, and so now supposedly there's some trouble with the Egyptian god, and he is like the face of that you know, deity right now. So he is kind of honoring and trying to build the church of, I think it's like Kahuhu or Kathohu or something like that. Please don't kill me. I am really bad with names. But they just show him, and it's like people are, you know, I'm just going to show flashing art. People are coming to Mr. Knight or Moon Knight, and they're like asking for help in his neighborhood. Hey, there's some vampires. Can you please, you know, help me out? Hey, there's something making scratching noises in the halls. You know, and just like that. I mean, he is all about, you know, like protecting his area, and I mean, he states it. This was one of the best scenes in the book. This is and he makes a reference to this. This is like Vermin's clones from Spider-Man. And he makes a reference. I've encountered, you know, Vermin before, and I recognize that you're his clones. You know, I'm basically going to give you one warning, and it's right here. Like, I'll let you run away, either that, or I'm going to beat the hell out of you and kill you. I'm not that type of hero. I mean, he states this, and these demons, that they take off. They're like, okay, we're out of here. At the same time, when we do run into, and this is a first appearance, but this guy down here is the doctor, and he starts asking questions about the church, and Moon Knight kind of gets kind of worried in a way, because he hasn't run into somebody that has this knowledge on the church, and he's kind of questioning his status in the church, maybe feeling like the church is sending people to investigate what he's doing with his church, type of thing. There is a lot of different conversations with his psychiatrist, with his assistant. I really like the encounters with the assistants, but the psychiatrist part, it's kind of getting old, but it's there because the Avengers are kind of watching him. They are aware of his split personality type thing. But basically, in a nutshell, that was the whole first story. I'll show you some real random art, because I didn't show a lot of art, but the art was stellar in this book. I picked up one of the variants. I don't know, there was a ton of variants for this. I really dug this cover. I mean, Moon Knight, I've always liked Moon Knight, the way he looks and everything. I will show you like the very last, but this is the new villain, the first appearance. This is the Doctor as Hunter Moon, and it's not really a spoiler because Hunter Moon is throughout this whole comic. I mean, as the Doctor and as his like villain persona, and he kind of sets up what the whole rest of the series is going to be, and he's basically there to teach Moon Knight the real lessons of that church. Last but not least, we have Image Comics and Top Cow. I think it's Productions. Yep. This is Siphon #1, and man, what a good read. Sith Lordly, I know you read a lot of comics. If y'all didn't know, I was on Spinetix this last Saturday. What a great show. It was such an honor to be on the panel and just to be in the show and comment, man. It's so fun. You learn stuff. If y'all have a chance and you're up late on Saturday night, come join us on Spinetix. I'll put the link down below. But Sith Lordly, you might have to listen to this review or go back and listen to it. It was a real good book. I can understand reading 40 books how you forgot this one. But this was a really good read. Basically, it starts out, and it starts us with one of those we don't know what's going on situations, and they show this girl, and she's using some power, and she's actually trying to like heal somebody, and as she's trying to heal somebody kind of walks up her and stabs her in the back, and while he's stabbing her, you see he's emitting some kind of power that's attached with the stabbing, and I mean it takes her down. She is like kind of heals herself like temporarily with whatever power she has, and then she does kind of attack back, and she makes that guy leave. This girl ends up vanishing, and that's kind of the end of the setup right there. Like I said, we don't really know fully what's going on right there, but the story takes us to the main character that's on the cover, and it's just a setup with this guy at work, and he is in this panel right here, and he is an EMT worker, and he is just on one of his nightly runs, and this guy got his finger cut off, I think with a lawnmower and a drunken YouTube video scheme, haha. But so the guy's just an EMT, it kind of explains like right here his backstory, how he became an EMT, and it was basically because he was in a horrific car accident, and it kind of forever changed his life, and since then he's been helping people that have been in similar situations. We do, at the very first panel right here, he's getting off of work and he's leaving, and he does run into that girl from the very first of the book, and somehow she like transfers whatever power she had into him. And I mean, at this point on, this is where the book just got amazing. The art is like super stellar, and I mean, he instantly right here, this page, he is just seeing eons of this power pass from like person to person, and we're talking about it went from the hands of gods to like mortals to priests to different entities and people along the path, and they show further. It's not just that one page, but they do sum up a lot where this power is and where it came from and stuff like that, without story driven bubbles and stuff like that, which was really cool. But we do find out it is a power that it's like an empathy type power, but he is able to take like hatred and rage and basically like suck it from people. But at the same time, he can also reflect hatred and rage and use it as a weapon and cast it out, kind of like a mega explosion or a blast type thing, which we saw that girl do in the beginning. A lot of this book is just him like really, he just got these powers. He doesn't know what the heck they are. They activate as soon as he gets them, and he's just like right off the bat, he's real confused because he's getting an immense and it's not just anger and hate. I mean, there's a lot of emotions that tie into that, like being scared and fear and nervousness, and but all those things kind of, and he's being hit with this mass amount, and every time he is, I mean, you see these like flash of powers. Now, I don't think everybody around him sees those powers. That's something that he sees now specifically with the birth of his new powers. But they kind of show him trying to like his neighbors are trying to talk to him, and it's kind of like, when Peter first got bit, and he's just trying to make it home to the bed, and everything's like fuzzy and stuff, but he's starting to learn and see all kind of stuff, and they do it in different kind of panels, and there's different occasions where like his neighbors are like, hey, what's going on, man, why are you being so weird, and we do end up, he ends up running into like, basically it looks like the new love of his life while he's going through these the transition of the birth of these new powers. They kind of show up that they go back to that first part of the story with the bad guy and why they were trying to track him, or who was after that girl or whatever. But somebody right here kind of like ends up after him, and we do see an encounter where he like barely makes it out of it, and maybe possibly kind of kills, by accident, not on purpose, but maybe uses his powers and takes that guy out. But we do see a setup, and then first appearance if this ever goes anywhere. But we do see the main villain that is after this guy, and this is going to be like, we don't know why at this moment, why he's after him, but it's kind of going to be the main setup, and for some reason he is after this guy with the empathy powers, and I don't even know if I'm stating that right. I don't know if it's empathy, but that's basically what it felt like, and they do describe it a little more in detail. At the very end, you do get some cool like panel page and like what was going on by the writer and the artist. I always love that, like, and it's always funny banter between the two. It's set up like that. A really great read. If you have not picked this up, for some reason pass it by, I suggest picking it up. But yeah, these are the 5 comics from this week. I do have a review coming real soon. Later on today, I'm going to review Jungle Fantasy Fauna number 0. It is going to be a age-restricted video because it is very graphic, but I do want to talk about it. It's going to be a conversation piece and a review on the whole comic. So be looking forward to that. I have one more review from the new comics, and guess what? The cycle starts over again, and New Comic Book Tuesday is coming. Please, if you already haven't, subscribe, like, comment, share. Man, I eat all that stuff up, and I need it to grow. I thank every single one of y'all. I will be back very shortly. Y'all have a great rest of your Sunday, and know that I love y'all all. Evil out.